you walk into the aftermath. And sometimes, in the middle of the chaos, something holy remains. A reminder that even in the darkest moments, there is light. That is what we at ZAKA are here for, to bring dignity, humanity, and a sense of meaning. When everything else feels lost.
There's a moment when everyone else runs away and we run in. We see the hardest things, the silence after a tragedy, the screams that follow. We stay calm because someone has to be. We carry the weight for the families, the victims, and the nation.
We give our lives to this mission. We observe trauma that most people cannot even imagine. And we're gonna do it again and again. But who is helping us to carry it? This is why ZAKA is building a resilience center, because even the strongest souls need space to heal.
Stand with us. Help us build the ZAKA Resilience Center. We carry others every day. Now we are asking, will you carry us?
We care for the dead with courage and compassion.
And now, it's your turn to care for us.
Help us build the ZAKA Resilience Center.
Because
even heroes need someone to lean on.
And now with us is Atzmon Meshulam, Head of Resilience at ZAKA and the Chair of One Resilience. Vered, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
We understand that you've had such difficult work in the last 21 months especially. Take us to the Shura Army base, and from that point, which was at the beginning of the war, where bodies were being recognized, forensic teams were on site dealing with that trauma, all the way up until today, where we're 21 months plus into this war. What has changed within ZAKA?
Wow. What I witnessed at the Shura base after the October 7th changed everything I knew, both as a psychologist and as a person. We weren't dealing with trauma in theory anymore. We were standing inside of it, walking between burned remains, wounded bodies, and families identifying their beloved ones in a heartbreaking silence. But more than that, meeting ZAKA volunteers, a community I had never encountered before, opened my eyes to and heart and the healing power of devotion and mesirut nefesh. Their spiritual strength, self-centered and quiet peace inside from their prayers and belief made a deep impression on me, and it made me realize how mutual responsibility is not just a concept. It's a living truth of the Jewish people. That moment demanded a total shift, so at ZAKA, trauma wasn't a side issue anymore. It actually became central. The sheer exposure to the death and meant we had to rethink everything. And then we understood that the resilience isn't about not breaking, because it's about staying connected. When it's so painful, you need to find some strength from inside and to give meaning for your trauma. And even when your soul is carrying pain, we are process of treating them in a way that helps them heal from inside. And so we made the decision to establish the ZAKA Healing Center, a dedicated resilience tube for ZAKA volunteers and their families. A true home built on innovations, trauma-informed care, and deep spiritual strength, because those who serve the dead with such dignity, they deserve a sacred space for them to heal.
Absolutely. And you are the head of the resilience department at ZAKA. Within this institution, tell us what type of in-house emotional support ZAKA offers to their volunteers who are dealing with such tremendous, sad experiences daily.
Yeah, so actually I started the program a year and 2 months ago, and after what I saw at Shura, I felt an inner call to create a new therapeutic protocols for first responders. As a psychologist, I had worked with many years with terminal patients and their families, but nothing prepared us for the events of the October 7th. So what I saw that the commitments and the burden that the volunteers are carrying in silence needed to be healed. And I combined psychological science with spiritual tools from our tradition. Things like prayer, nigunim, guided imagery and writing, and meaning-based reflection. And then once I planned this program, I invited the group of ZAKA to process the retreat. And what happened there was powerful. It was, they said in the end that they felt so empowered. And then soon after, ZAKA asked me to establish and lead their first resilience center in 30 years. And with my partner, Oza Vizor, we are building now a national network, therapists across Israel, training for new volunteers, emotional debriefing, and emergency support. And I can share with you that there was one volunteer, not just one, that said to me after one of the workshops that we helped him come back to life. That he first time in his last year hugged his daughter again, because it did like something for his soul when he saw a dead kid in his bed. So now we are heading to plan and build a groundbreaking healing center for ZAKA and their families, a space for them to heal, a space for them to get an emotional support. And we are doing research with Achva University and Reichman University to study the special resilience components of the ZAKA's volunteers. Though they are suffering from post-trauma, they are kind of, it's like something that every time is exciting me again and again to see how they are committed to this process of healing, that they are, it was strange for them in the beginning, but when it touched their heart and soul, something has changed there, and I'm so grateful for that.
Wow, unbelievable. So these are some really challenging times that ZAKA volunteers are going through. And what I would like to know is, what kind of tools or methods are you using out in the field to help those people?
So first of all, I developed a model called Lens of the Spirit. It's a therapeutic framework that integrates clinical trauma tools with spiritual resilience based on Jewish wisdom and Kabbalah. It's built on 5 layers: physical regulation, emotional processing, meaning-making, spiritual connection, and rewriting their narrative in many ways. So we use mindful breathing, we use expressive writing, Hasidic melodics that are very powerful for the mind and soul and body, symbolic rituals that we are doing together, and the guided imagery from Jewish texts, and all grounded in a trauma research and neuroscience. It's very unique, it's very powerful, and what makes it special is that we don't treat fate as an obstacle. We treat it as a resource. And we use tools that aren't necessarily universal, but can be very universal, like prayer. Everybody prays for something good to happen to him, like using music as a power of opening the soul, because many of these tools are very powerful pathways to strength. And the success of these techniques still amazes me every time.
Unbelievable. And you mentioned the nigunim, which are, if you don't recognize the word, are songs, right? Yeah. They're religious songs that bring spiritual healing.
Yeah, we know from research that when we want to heal trauma, it's very important to process all the senses and all of them together, because it's more powerful to open like the nefesh, like the soul, to a healing process. And I can see in my eyes every retreat that it's 2 days, very intense one, that everything is combined. They're doing a ice bath therapy, and they're doing what I told you, and we are doing like a tashlich with a fire in the night with nigunim. We're doing lots of tools that are all combined together, and it's like moving their soul to meet each other, to remember what's their meaning and purpose in life, in a way that you go back to be happy most of them feel until now very shocked and very hurt by what they have been seen. So I find that these tools are making like kind of miracles for them to get connected. And one of the things that is very powerful there, that you see how much the community is a very essential part of healing in our nation, in our days. It's not just in ZAKA. I can take it and show it like everywhere else. We need to unite, to use our communal resource for healing from inside.
Thanks for sharing some of those visuals and methods with us. Tell us a little bit about what has changed following October 7th and what methods you've introduced to the ZAKA Volunteers for Healing.
One of the things that we are doing is 2 days retreats, that we are going to the desert or to a nature place. Retreats is like the emotional processing, integrating movement, silence, verbal expression, and meaning-making techniques. In these 2 days, we also launched first of its kind a couple workshop called Meshivat HaNefesh. It's ultra-Orthodox couples can process trauma together through guided group work. It's very special. Several couples I can share with you who had filed for divorce after the October 7th, and they decided to stay together after the workshop. It's very, very powerful, and I think that the October 7th trauma shocked their relationships, and everyone felt it. But the shared healing process brought them back to each other, like to bring the wife and the spouses and the family inside is very important. And in addition, we implemented the nature-based therapies such as equine therapy, scuba diving, guided desert rituals, and we understood that sometimes the body can express what words cannot. So we are combining everything together. We introduced a VR-based trauma simulation, helping responders revisit this and safety process, difficult scenes they were been through. And furthermore, we developed a spiritual resilience training using Jewish metaphors and techniques on strengthening the hope. We use fully integrative approaches, blending psychology, somatic practice, Jewish rituals, and all together are really powerful for them. And all the organizations are feeling the change from inside. From top to the down, it's like everyone is much more connected to their inner power, even if it's very painful.
Wow, this is really fascinating, and you can see the power when you talk about the couples that are choosing to stay together. Mm-hmm. You can see so clearly the effects. That's really powerful. Thanks for sharing that. Mm-hmm. We right now are in a moment of anti-Semitism, global anti-Semitism. How do you address this national trauma for the Jewish people? And it's also transcending borders. It's going outside of the land of Israel. How do you deal with that?
Well, actually, I'm thinking about it a lot. And over the past 2 years, I've learned something profound. Anti-Semitism isn't just hate. It's a trauma trigger, a deep generational trauma that lives in our bodies, our memories, even in our DNA. Just like trauma can be passed down, so can resilience. And when we strengthen Jewish resilience using emotional, cultural, and spiritual tools that speak our language, we don't just survive, we rise. So that's why I understood the need for new global tools, and I founded the One Resilience initiative called Echad. Echad is a global mission to protect the emotional and the spiritual health of the Jewish people. It is a digital home for healing, built from clinical knowledge, Jewish wisdom, and the reality we are all facing these days. It is especially designed actually for the younger generation who face identity confusion and hatred and loneliness in a noisy, very noisy environment. And this platform is being developed now and in collaboration with leading organizations in the US and Israel that promote unity and strength. as a way to combat anti-Semitism. So this is kind of my development for understanding how to treat the critical people all over the world that are suffering from PTSD. Like the One Resilience Echad is like an emotional iron dome, a place to reconnect with who we are. And you know, we are saying in our tradition, Kol Israel Arevim Ze Lazeh, and we are responsible for each other. And as the Zohar says, and we can see that so intense in ZAKA, we are all one soul. So my prayer is that Echad will be the way to bring healing and unity for all the Jews all over the world, because I think that this is a special time for us to reconnect and understand that through the pain, maybe this is the only way to rise.
Absolutely inspiring. Thank you for sharing that and for these really impressive initiatives that ZAKA is rolling out. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much.